What is up, fellas? After a long wait, it's your boy JB back with another video. This video in our spread option series, really the last video in our spread option series, is all going to be focused on the run pass option, or the RPO. This is going to be a deep dive into the RPO. I know there are a lot of videos out there on different RPOs you can run individually, but this is really going to be a deep dive into what the RPOs are, what they mean, when you call them, and why you want to run certain plays. So we're not going to focus on a single formation in this particular video. It's going to be focused on the concepts of the RPOs and when you should be running each one. So instead of going formation like we normally do, I'm going to come over here to concept and we're going to talk through all of the RPOs. So RPOs are under options. As you can imagine, the RPO stands for run pass option, and that's really the first talking point in this series. Is the RPO is primarily built in as a run play. So RPOs are designed to help your run game more than anything else. They aren't passing plays, although there are passing components in an RPO, but really the reason you run an RPO is to enhance your run game. Or as we talked about in one of the earlier videos about constraint plays, the purpose of an RPO is to keep defenders out of the box so that you can run the ball. And so there are four main types of RPOs that we're going to talk about in this video. The first is the alert RPO. That's what we're looking at here. As you can see, there are a bunch of different alert RPOs that you can see with the play title next to the name, right? So we've got an RPO control screen, an RPO bubbles considered an alert screen. Really what these alert RPOs are quick hitting RPOs. They don't take a lot of time, and you're typically reading one defender and then you're deciding if you're either handing the ball off, or if that defender crashes down on the box, then you're throwing the ball outside. Or if that defender is misaligned, then you would throw an alert RPO out there. The biggest thing with an alert RPO is it's really designed to get the ball outside of the numbers. That's really what an RPO alert is designed for, as opposed to one of the other types of RPOs. So the peak RPO is the next type of RPO that we have. So you can see here with this RPO peak slant, again, you're reading one defender and you're deciding whether you're handing the ball or throwing the ball out. But peak RPOs are designed to get the ball and attack the middle of the field. So with this slant, you can see, yes, there is a tight end that's going outside, but really what you're reading is that slant defender. Let's go ahead and run this play. We'll run it up against a zone coverage. That's another thing to sort of keep in mind, is that RPOs are designed to attack zone coverage and you're reading one player. There are some RPOs that are better at attacking man-to-man coverage, and we'll talk about those. On this peak RPO, what we're reading is that linebacker with the P over his head. Again, we're trying to attack the middle of the field. So we're going to read that player, see what he does. He crashed down. We throw the slant and we get it moving. So again, that peak RPO is designed to hit the middle of the field. We're reading that linebacker with the P over his head. And depending on what he does, tells us if we're going to throw this ball or not. He stays home, we're handing the ball off, and we're keeping it moving. Again, we want to hand the ball off. The purpose of these is to hand the ball off, but we want to make sure that that linebacker stays disciplined and stays with his gap. So again, that's the peak RPO. We'll go back to concept. You can see there are different types of peak RPO. Another good peak RPO is this Y bubble pop. It's complete. This is a really good, we'll go against cover two in this case. This is a really good RPO with three options. And so primarily what we're going to be reading is the tight end with the linebacker over the top of him. Again, we're attacking the middle of the field based on what this linebacker does. This is a good red zone goal line play that you can run, but it also works in the middle of the field. So if he stays home or if he drops back with that tight end, we don't hit anything. We hand the ball off to the running back, and then he's taking himself out of the game. And we're going up against 5-on-5, really 6-on-5 in this case. So we see what he does. He stays. We throw that out there, and we keep it moving. That can be a big hitting play up the middle of the field, just depending on what he does. Again, he stopped right there. I should have thrown that ball that time. Misread by me. Let's do this one more time. We're reading what he does. He stays home so we can get the ball and run. This play is a really good run play stock. You don't always have to even-hand it or even think to throw the ball because you're occupying that linebacker. The blocking is really good on this particular play. Sometimes I call this play just to run the ball and keep the defense out of the box, right? So the bubble on the right side is going to keep that DB outside, and then that linebacker is going to have a decision to make, and I can just hand the ball off sometimes because he's occupied by that tight end on the RPO. Let's take a look at some of the alert RPOs. So you can see we have an RPO alert bubble and an RPO alert screen. Those are two good alert RPOs that you can run. This time we'll go up against cover 3. In this case, we are reading the defender over the bubble screen. So he's going to tell us if we are handing the ball off or throwing that bubble. If he crashes down on our running back, we just hit Y and get it out to him. If he stays home, then we've got a run lane with our running back. This time he sort of sat there, stayed flat-footed. In that case, I'm going to throw that ball. If he doesn't make a decision, I'm going to make it for him and get the ball out. Let's read it this time. Again, he stayed flat-footed and we can get the ball out and get moving. But again, we're keeping that defender outside of the box. So in that case, he sort of stayed. We can hand that ball off and get going. So if you have a defense that's cramming everybody in the middle of the field, they're bringing in safeties, they're blitzing corners, look for an alert RPO. That can be a good way to get the ball outside and get it moving. Let's go with this RPO alert. We'll go against quarters this time. That's another sort of talking point is I like an alert screen against 2 high looks. And I like the peak RPO against 1 high or cover 3. In this case, we have a 2 high look. And so what we're going to be reading is the apex defender that's over Y or our slot receiver. And we're seeing what he does. If he stays outside, we're going to hand the ball off to our running back. If he crashes down toward our running back, then we can quickly throw it out to our B receiver. And now we've got a blocker out there in the slot wide receiver who should go get that corner. So again, we're going to be watching that slot, see what he does. He stays home, so we hand this ball off and get going. I think it's because it's quarters. He may do that on most cases. But again, these are run plays. These are supposed to be run plays that are occupying defenders. We'll go against a cover 2 trap. And now again, we're seeing what he does. See, that time he crashed in. Let's go to replay. We didn't get a ton of yards, but that's okay. But I just want to show you guys how this works. So again, look at that apex defender. He came in on a blitz, right? And then we are able to get the ball out, and now we're playing really 2-on-1. Wide receiver did a terrible job of blocking. In most cases, though, you're going to be able to run that and get moving. Let's call this one more time, see if we can get some better blocking. There we go. Now we get a few more yards up the field. So again, 2 high. We're watching that apex. We're seeing if he crashes or stays home and then getting the ball out depending on sort of what he does. The next RPO that we're going to take a look at is a glance RPO. Sometimes you'll see it as a glance post, or in this case, this is a glance bubble. This is really my favorite RPO that's in the game. We will go up against, can I do a random zone? We'll just do random place. So glance RPO. In this case, we've already got a numbers advantage. So a glance RPO, or this glance RPO, has two options on it. So we've got the bubble of our slot wide receiver down there, but then up at the top, we've got that post route that we can throw. And based on the alignment of the defense, that's going to determine which side we're looking at and which one defender we are keying. In this case, what you see is there's no one really over our slot wide receiver. So unless that safety shoots up the field, that's who we're throwing it out to. So our outside wide receiver is going to block the corner. And actually, if we were to untarget that outside wide receiver and we go to blocking assignments, you can see he's going to block that safety. And now we've got a real opportunity to get a big play. So the way I did that, if you guys don't know about untargeting defenders, if you go up on the stick, the right stick, then you can move around the button and you can force the defense to untarget a particular defender. So in this case, I'm telling our offense, ignore that corner, block the safety, right? And then I'm going to be throwing this bubble. And look at that. We get a huge gain just because of alignment. So there was no one over that slot. And so that told me that I could probably get it out to him. Now this case, I'm going to be reading the backside post or the glance. That's why this is called a glance RPO, is that we're going to be glancing at that post. We're going to be reading the safety who's in the middle of that post to see what he does. If he crashes down on the running back, then I'm going to throw that post, pass leading it down and inside. If he stays outside, then we can go ahead and run this ball. So we'll see what he does. He stays home, we run the ball. When it's a really good look is against like this one, a cover 3 or a press look, I'm really going to be reading that outside post route. And in some cases, you can even stem it down, click it down, and then hit it a little bit faster. So I would really be reading the linebacker who's over our running back instead of the safety, right? There is no safety now over there in the middle of the field. So I'm going to be reading that linebacker to see what he does. If he comes down, then I'm going to pass lead this inside just like he did. Boom, we've got our glance and we can get it moving. This works really good against a press look. Now this one, this looks like cover 4. So against cover 4, you're not really going to be reading that post. Otherwise, you'll probably be throwing into a double team. So I would ignore the left side of the field, focus on the right side in this bubble. You can see the defender over the bubble has inside leverage, which means he may be coming on a blitz or just crashing inside. So that's what I'm going to be reading. What does he do? If he comes inside, we're going to throw the bubble. If he stays outside, look at that. He came inside. We throw this bubble. We're out the gate. We got us a big game. I'm hoping he'll give us a press. This time they looked at it again. I didn't really love the look. We hand this ball off. Don't be afraid to hand the ball off. Even if you aren't sure what to do nothing and hand the ball off. These plays, again, are designed to be run plays.
From the shotgun, the inside give.
Again, we're out of the Florida State playbook. We'll talk about the last type of RPO, which is the RPO read play. This is a very good RPO. It's very hard to defend. You can see there are different types of RPOs. For whatever reason, they're putting the glance RPOs in here too. But we're just going to be using the read RPO. And the read RPO is really a combination of a read option with a tag or a pass option attached to it. So I'm going to call this RPO read flat. It's one of the better RPOs in the game. We'll go against a random defense. And so this is going to combine the read option that you saw from our restraint plays or some of our first videos, and that we are reading an outside defender. In this case, it's going to be that linebacker. And depending on what he does, we're either going to pull it or hand the ball off to the running back. But where this becomes really powerful is the RPO component. So we have a read. We're going to be reading that defensive end, but we can flick it out to our tight end or do some different things with that tight end depending on what we do. In this case, because he's outside, I already know I can force him in. I can pull it and then throw this out and get it moving. So there are upsides and downsides of using a read RPO. Unlike the alert and the peak, the read RPO takes a lot more time. So if the defense blitzes you or you're having trouble sort of making your reads, the read RPO can be something to go to because it gives you a little bit more time to decide what you're going to do. It's really a triple option. You can hand it off to the running back depending on what they do. Again, you see they stayed outside. I was able to hand it off to the running back. So that's option number one. Option number two is to hold A, keep it with your quarterback and run. He fumbled in that case. And then option number three is to get the ball out to your slot. Here we go. This will be better. The other cool thing that you can do now in 26 version of the game is you can now make hot routes on an RPO. So one of the things I like to do on the read RPO is combine the concept that we looked at earlier with the bubble pop, is you can audible that. So I take that tight end, I audibled him into a streak, mostly because the middle of the field, look at that, it's wide open. So if he's able to clear that linebacker, so instead of us reading that slot player with the P over him, in this case, we're going to be reading that middle linebacker to see what he does. If he comes down, we can potentially have a big play. Tight end got trapped up there. That wasn't the best. This is where I would run it regularly. So we see what he does. He crashes down. We can run with our quarterback and get some yards. It's not always the best. Like I said, it takes a long time once you snap it with a read RPO to get your quarterback moving and running. So the read would be one where you're not leaning towards the run in this case. In most cases, you're wanting to hold the ball or pull the ball and throw it. But as an option of last resort, you can't always use this like a regular RPO. Pull it with your quarterback and run just like we've got right here and score.
Ball in your hands at the running back position, right? And think back to the late, great Bobby Bowden. He was always able to...
There he goes. He stopped. Trying to make magic with his feet. Got some room, headed to the goal.
But you get the idea. In this case, I would audible this to this one and then just get the ball up the field to our tight end. It's a tight window that you're going to have to fit the ball in, but you can do it. So that'll wrap it up for our RPO deep dive. Again, stick with the channel. We're going to be pivoting to a new offensive series. So stay tuned for that. We'll try to get that out hopefully in the next week.